fourth vocabulary reading. Now, I'm going to take you back. How long does it take a child from birth before they enter school? About 5 years. Think of the preparation they have in listening, speaking, singing, chanting, improvising, and audiating before anybody really takes the opportunity to try to teach them really how to read formally. They've had 5 years of readiness. Most persons in music have no readiness. And then we try to make up for it and give it to them maybe in a unit, 6-week unit in middle school or in elementary school. Developing those first 3 vocabulary takes a long time. Music theory, hitting them like that with music theory, isn't going to do it. Think of please of language. When did you learn to parse a sentence? It was long after you could speak, listen, read, and write. And then somebody started talking to you about grammar, parsing a sentence. Most of you maybe have never been taught with the pluperfect tenses. But by listening, you speak it correctly. The theory comes last, if at all. In music, we have things kind of turned around, upside down, inverted pyramid. Instead of teaching theory at the freshman level, it should be audiation and movement, and probably at the senior level, theory. Theory should explain what it is you're doing that you can already do. It shouldn't be to try to teach you to do something. It should be an explanation of what you can already do. So if you'll think about that, I'd appreciate it sequentially. And that is a quick introduction to music learning theory. And now I'd like to get into it in a little bit more detail. It's kind of a superficial introduction, but I hope I've got you thinking. Questions before I go on? Okay, I've given you, yes sir.
What are your thoughts about state grade level expectations? In our state, we have grade level expectations, and it appears kindergarten through high school, it does not go along with how children learn. And so we are under the gun to be able to do certain things that do not go along with that.
May I ask you this? May I speak freely?
Absolutely.
I don't want to upset anybody, but if I can speak freely, I think those recommendations are bogus because the persons that are doing them don't understand learning. All they do is get involved in teaching. Teaching is from the outside in, where we push it in. Learning is from the inside out. For them to set up those standards without students having the proper readiness to achieve those standards is a fool's errand. And we've been involved in that in music education for years. Fool's errands. So all I can say is I don't know how you deal with bureaucrats, except to try to educate them, if it's possible. But I would say if most of them could understand, they wouldn't be bureaucrats. They'd be doing something worthwhile. So I don't know the answer to it. I just think it's terrible that they have standards and they set up things for different grades. I mean, it's so silly. For 6th grade, if somebody comes into 6th grade, they don't have a listening vocabulary, they haven't sung, they haven't done the improvisation, and then we ask them to do something. That's why so many persons dislike music and have no respect for it. We ask them to do things that they can't do, and they become frustrated, and they become angry. I don't know what to tell you. Have an election. I don't know, sir. I wish I could help you. I'm retired now as a professor, but I went through the same thing at the college level with deans who don't know any better. There are bureaucrats at another level. Okay, so those are the 5 vocabularies. Now I'd like to start talking about learning theory. The basic level of learning, I'm talking about sequential learning. What, if you'll notice on the packet that Dr. Gilbo's has passed out to you, I think somewhere around the top, I'm not sure, but there's a sequence of skill learning sequence. And it starts with oral. It's somewhere in the packet. And did you not get that packet? Do you have more? I think we need some, yeah. When I left yesterday morning, my wife said to me, "Don't make any new enemies, you have enough old ones." So I'm trying to be cautious. But I do get terribly frustrated because really so much of music teaching is taught backward. And I'm really trying to change the world. I've been trying to change it for the last 50 or 60 years. I'm going on 84, and I started trying to change it when I was about 30. I've made a little progress. A little. Okay, so let's get to music learning theory. Oral, A-U-R-A-L, oral, O-R-A-L. It goes back to what I was saying about the first 2 vocabularies in music are married. Children hear oral, and then they reproduce oral. And that's the beginning of teaching audiation, is the imitation of what they have heard. So, you ask children, Now at the oral level, we work, and you can hear me, I don't work with diatonic patterns. I don't do a scale, but we find if we do arpeggiated patterns or arpeggio patterns, whichever you prefer, bum, bum, well look, do this for me, would you sing bum, 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 sing bum, 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 bum. I don't know if you perceived it or not, but there was a slight break with the 5th. Bum, you sang the 2nd bottom, I'm exaggerating, bum, bum, in a legato. But when you sang the 5th, it was staccato, bum, bum, slight break. What happens during that slight break? You're audiating what you're going to sing before you sing it. So to sing ya-da-dum, be-ya-da, wa-da-da, dee-ya-da-da-da-dum, gets you nowhere as far as audiation. It's just a musical game. But to sing bum, 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 and if you sing it staccato, bum, 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 we get students, children, to learn very quickly to audiate before they sing. And that's when audiation begins to take place, is to know what you're going to sing before you sing it, rather than finding it with the vocal folds. Bum, 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 bum. So we start with our arpeggiated patterns. Notice what I do, and I'll go into this in more detail tomorrow. I start by getting them into the speaking voice at the oral level. Oral is speaking. That's the 2nd vocabulary. Oral, A-U-R, is the first. I teach them together at school age. At preschool, I teach oral separately for about 2 years. But if I get children in school, it's kind of late. I don't have 2-3 years. So I teach oral together.